I want to start today with a very specific image. It's something that came up in our research, but honestly, I didn't need a source to recognize it. I see it every morning.
Mm,
You're sitting there, maybe with your coffee, you look at your screen, and it's just a sea of little red dots.
the badges.
The badges, the unread emails, the
Yeah.
Slack notifications, all these little nudges. And the reading described this physical feeling, a tightening in your chest.
Yeah.
It's this quiet little voice in your head that just says, you're already behind.
It's so visceral, isn't it? It's not just, annoying. It's a physiological threat. And our first reaction is to blame ourselves. We think, I'm disorganized or I'm just lazy.
Oh, absolutely. It's a moral failure.
Yeah.
Like, if I were just a better person, I'd be at inbox 0 right now.
Exactly. But the real insight from this research, and this is what we should sit with today, is that this is not a you problem. It's a structural problem. It's a collision.
A collision of what?
It's what happens when you smash two completely incompatible time zones together. One is what they call machine time, and the other is human time.
Okay, machine time versus human time. I think most people just think time is time.
Yeah.
A minute is a minute.
Well, think about it. For a computer, time is just processing speed. It's
Yeah.
totally linear. It's infinite. It runs 24/7. A server never gets tired.
It doesn't need to sleep.
It doesn't have a circadian rhythm. It's built for constant high-speed output.
Whereas we are. Biology. We're messy.
We're cyclical. We have seasons. We have limits. We need actual rest, recovery. We need to be aimless sometimes. So when you try to sync a biological thing, which is what we are, to a digital clock that never stops, you don't just get busy.
You get friction.
You get that tearing feeling, like you're perpetually out of breath.
It really feels like trying to run a marathon at a sprint pace, only because the treadmill refuses to slow down.
And the treadmill, the machine, it doesn't care that you're tired. It just keeps feeding you more.
So, just to be clear with everyone listening, today's deep dive. It isn't about productivity hacks. We are not going to tell you how to answer emails faster.
It's definitely not. No.
This is going to be a bit quieter. We just want to explore why, with all these time-saving tools, life feels more rushed, more fragmented than ever. We're going to look at the psychological cost of trying to keep up with an algorithm.
Yeah. It's less about fixing your schedule and more about just understanding the exhaustion.
I'm glad you said that, because the typical response to that exhaustion is just to try and run faster. I mean, we wear multitasking like it's a badge of honor.
Mhm.
If I'm on a Zoom call while I'm answering an email and also eating my lunch, I feel like I'm winning, like I'm some kind of evolved human.
And that is the great modern myth, isn't it? That
Mm.
multitasking is the next stage of human evolution. But this brings us to one of the philosophers in our reading, Byung-Chul Han.
Right.
He takes that whole idea that multitasking is progress and he just flips it completely upside down.
I had to read that part twice. He says multitasking isn't civilization moving forward. He says it's a regression,
It's a return to the
a
wild.
return to the animal state,
Yeah.
which just feels so counterintuitive. I think of deep focus as the primitive thing, staring into a fire. Multitasking feels so modern.
But think about an animal in the wild, like a deer grazing in a field. Is that deer ever 100% focused on eating the grass?
No, of course not. It's watching for predators.
Exactly. It's eating, but it's also scanning the horizon. It's guarding its young. It's listening for any sound. It's in a constant state of what Han calls hyperattention.
It can't afford to get lost in the moment.
Because immersion could mean death.
Hmm.
To survive out there, you have to be everywhere at once, mentally.
So when I'm checking my phone every 30 seconds during a movie, or I'm scanning headlines while talking to my partner, I'm not being a power user. I'm acting like a prey animal.
You're simulating a survival environment. You're scattering your attention to stay safe. And Han's point, and this is the really heavy part, is that all of human culture, philosophy, art, science, all of it requires the exact opposite.
It requires the safety to not pay attention to everything.
The safety to close your eyes, the ability to just ignore the background noise.
Wow. So we're trading depth for a kind of constant surveillance.
We are. We're losing the ability to really sink into things.
Yeah.
And what we lose, specifically, is something that sounds like a bad word today: deep boredom.
Deep boredom, yeah. I feel like if I told my boss I was practicing deep boredom, I'd get fired on the spot.
Probably. But another philosopher, Walter Benjamin, had this beautiful metaphor for it. He called boredom the dream bird that hatches the egg of experience.
That is a lovely image. The dream bird.
It's this idea that true experience, a new creative thought, it's like an egg. And it can only hatch if you sit on it. If you're warm and you're still,
But if you're constantly running around pecking at
the
notifications.
bird never lands, the egg never hatches.
So by eliminating boredom with our phones, and let's be honest, you never have to be bored anymore, we're basically sterilizing our own creativity.
We're just processing. We take what's already there and we reproduce it, maybe spin it a bit faster. But we don't create anything truly new because that requires empty space. It requires that nest of tranquility.
It's kind of tragic. We've destroyed the nest because we're terrified of the silence.
And when we lose that ability to go deep, we start looking for other ways to fill the void. And this connects to Erich Fromm's concept of the big bottle.
Okay, I have to admit, when I first saw the big bottle in the notes, I wasn't sure what to make of it. It sounds infantile.
It's meant to. Fromm is describing the state of eternal expectation. He says modern people are like a baby with its mouth open, just waiting for the world to feed it.
And the world, or our phone, is the bottle.
Exactly. And we're just waiting for the next drop of milk.
And the milk is content, news.
It's everything. Fromm has this line where he says, "We swallow the world. We swallow liquor. We swallow movies, lectures." He even says we swallow people.
That's the part that really stopped me. Swallowing people. It sounds so harsh. But then I thought about, dating apps. We're just scrolling through Instagram.
That's it exactly. Think about swiping. You see a person, a whole complex human being, and you just consume their image for a second. Left, right, next. You're not relating. You're consuming the thrill of a new face.
Just to fill that inner void.
We're just looking for the sensation of intake, not for actual nourishment.
We're snacking on humanity.
And because it's just a snack, you never, ever feel full. Fromm calls us eternally disappointed sucklers.
Wow.
We're always hoping the next thing, the next video, the next post, that this one will be the one that finally satisfies us. But it never does. We're not digesting anything. We're just swallowing.
It reminds me of what Fromm said about time, how we rush to save time. But then we have no idea what to do with the time we've saved.
Except to kill it.
That hits hard. We use an AI to write an email in 30 seconds instead of 10 minutes, so we save 9.5 minutes. And then what? Do we go sit in the garden? No. We open up TikTok to kill the time we just gained.
We're terrified of empty time, so we become what he calls alienated automatons. We're well-fed, well-dressed, we have high-speed internet, but we're alienated from our own lives. We just want to look in the next shop window.
I want to ground this for a second because when we talk about things like alienated automatons, it can feel very abstract, very philosophical.
Sure.
But the sources this week make it so clear. This isn't just happening in your head, it's happening in your cells.
The body keeps the score, absolutely.
There's one study in particular, the Hewlett-Packard one. It honestly terrified me. The one about IQ.
The Infomania study.
Yeah. Can we just walk us through that? Because I don't think people realize how much just keeping an eye on your inbox is actually costing them.
It's staggering. So the research found that if you are trying to focus on a task, but you have an unread email waiting for you,
Just the knowledge of it.
just knowing it's there, your effective IQ drops by about 10 points.
10 points.
Yeah.
Which, for context, is a lot.
To put it in perspective, the study said that's a more severe cognitive loss than the impairment you get from smoking marijuana.
Wait, really? So sitting at my desk, totally sober but distracted by a notification, makes me cognitively worse off than if I were actually high.
That's what the data suggests. You're operating with a handicap because a part of your brain is always tethered to that unread message. You're not fully there.
And it's not just distraction, is it? It's about energy. Our brains run on glucose. We have a finite fuel tank.
And every one of those red dots is a tiny decision. This is decision fatigue. You see a notification and you have to choose. Open it. Ignore it. Reply now. Reply later.
Even ignoring it takes effort.
Ignoring it is an active mental process. You are burning actual neural fuel to not look. So by 2 p.m., you're not just bored, you are biologically depleted. You've burned through your daily glucose supply on digital trivia.
Which explains why, at the end of the day, I can't even decide what to have for dinner. I just stare into the fridge. My decider is broken.
You've got no impulse control left. And at the same time, you're flooding your system with stress hormones. This is the cortisol loop.
Right.
We get a little dopamine hit when we check the phone. That's the reward. But the unpredictability of it, the constant dings and buzzes, it keeps our bodies in a low-grade state of fight or flight.
We're treating a Slack message like it's a tiger in the bushes.
And we're keeping our bodies in that prey animal state we talked about. It is physically exhausting.
Here, we're biologically depleted, we're cognitively impaired, And then we add the big shadow that's hanging over everything right now.
AI.
The anxiety seems to be shifting. Used to be, I have too much to do.
Mm.
Now it's mutating into, will I have anything left to do?
They're calling it FOBO, fear of becoming obsolete. This gets at that Red Queen effect we saw in the notes.
From Alice in Wonderland, right? You have to run as fast as you can just to stay in the same place.
Exactly. For the last 20 years, the answer has always been upskill, learn to code, be more productive. But now you look at AI and you realize no matter how fast you run, the machine is getting faster. You can't outprocess a processor.
And that leads to this really deep sense of meaninglessness. There's that one stat, I think over 90% of people in a survey reported feeling a sense of emptiness linked to all this.
That is just a staggering number. But it makes sense. If we've defined our entire worth by our productivity, if we've agreed to live on machine time, what happens when the machine beats us at our own game?
You have a full-blown identity crisis.
It forces you to ask, if I'm not my output, then what am I? And that is a terrifying question if you haven't cultivated any of that quiet time. If you've spent your whole life running, stopping feels like dying.
And this all bleeds into our relationships, doesn't it? If we're running on machine time, terrified of being obsolete, we just stop being present for the people right in front of us.
There's that really poignant story from the book, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, the one about the therapy session.
Right. The patient starts texting during the session.
Just think about that. You are in a paid, dedicated space to be seen and heard, to deal with your pain. And you pull out your phone. The therapist sees it as a defense mechanism. The screen numbs the pain of being vulnerable.
But it's also the addiction that creates the pain in the first place. It just blocks the here and now.
And the therapist mentions something else. The loss of the ineffable.
The energy in the room.
Exactly. She told a story about a Skype session. A patient was having a huge breakthrough, starting to cry, and then the audio cut out, a glitch.
And the moment is just gone.
It's lost to the machine. You can't comfort a pixelated image the way you can comfort a person. We're outsourcing our humanity, treating connection like it's supposed to be efficient.
There was that term, the therapist in the iPhone.
Right. We want the feeling of connection, but without the actual demands of intimacy. We want a friend or a partner we can just put in our pocket when we're done with them.
So we're living in the past, scrolling through old photos or living in the future, worrying about AI. But we're never actually here.
We are, as Fromm said, nowhere.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty heavy picture here. We're exhausted prey animals, addicted to the content bottle, afraid of being replaced by robots, and glitching out of our own lives.
It is heavy. But, seeing it clearly is the first step. You can't step off the treadmill until you realize you're on one.
There's one last idea I want to bring in. It felt like a bit of a lifeline in all this reading. It's from Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way. She talks about the virtue trap.
This is so important, especially for anyone who feels guilty about stopping.
The virtue trap is this belief that being a good person means being busy. It means being responsive. It means always being available.
We're terrified of seeming selfish. We don't want to say no or I'm offline now. We think being available to everyone all the time makes us virtuous. But Cameron says in trying to be selfless, we literally lose ourselves.
We let machine time define our worth. We think, I answered 50 emails today, so I was a good person.
But she completely flips the idea of luxury. We think luxury is money or a fancy car. But she says in the age of machine time, the ultimate luxury is the refusal to be rushed.
The refusal to be rushed. I like that.
It's the courage to be lazy. Not lazy as in sloth, but lazy in the sense of allowing your soul to catch up with your body, to sit in that deep boredom we talked about, to let the dream bird land.
It's almost an act of rebellion.
It is. In a world that's always accelerating, slowness is a radical act.
We promised at the start that we wouldn't offer solutions or hacks. No grayscale mode, no Pomodoro timers.
Because those are just more mechanical fixes. You can't solve technostress with more technology.
The real takeaway, it seems, is just acceptance. Accepting that we are not machines.
We don't need to outrun them. That's not the point. Machines are supposed to be fast. That's their job. Humans, we're supposed to be steady. We're supposed to be cyclical.
So maybe feeling behind isn't a sign that you're failing. Maybe it's a sign that you're still human. A sign that your body is resisting the algorithm.
It's a signal to stop running.
So I just want to leave everyone listening with a thought that really came out of all this reading. It's a question, really, and I think it's one we're all a little scared to answer. If you did stop running, if you just ignored the red dots for an hour, or even a whole day, if you allowed yourself to sit in that deep boredom without reaching for a screen to numb it, who would you meet there?
That's the question.
Thanks for listening.
Take care.